can I stick to a script? So far, the answer is no. I made 0 for however many at GDC this year. All right, here we go. I am the CCO and game designer at Loot Drop. I've been making social games. I'm not as veteran as Steve is, but I'm almost approaching 2 years making social games. This will be my 30th year in the industry. So, I resist this rant, I resist its leading title, and I resist the will to fight. I will not turn against my fellow developers who have supported me through 30 years of my career. We've been through this before. For me, it begins in 1981. You're ruining games, you know. My Dungeons & Dragons DM said this to me when I started working at Surtex Software on the Wizardry series of games. Games aren't meant to be played like that, not this game. He had heard about Wizardry, how I could create 6 characters and take them on an Apple II adventure without interacting with any other human beings. It wasn't social like D&D was. It wasn't even particularly intellectually challenging. The entire game had maybe 3 puzzles in it, and an absolutely endless series of button mashes, fight, 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 parry, parry, parry. It could have been a click fest, but we didn't have mice in our machines back then. I remember people writing letter after letter after letter when they found lesser demons and greater demons that haunted the lower levels of the maze. They called us evil and said our games were satanic. They weren't, and we weren't, but it was a reflection of the time we were in. It was a challenging time when we stood together, you and me, because we loved games. I remember when graphics started to replace text and we worried that games' deeper meaning would be lost and that soon games would be nothing more than meaningless images incapable of transmitting any deep type of play, never mind the complete feared loss of story. I remember lamenting the loss of the text parser and absolutely railing against keyword conversations because to me, they dumbed down all games to the level of toast. And not even good toast, for that matter. I remember when cutscenes first appeared in games and we committed the cardinal fucking sin, taking the game into the hands of the player because we wanted to show something cool and wow them, even if they just sat there waiting for it to pass. I remember these things, you remember these things, I definitely know Bob remembers these things because we love games. And I remember when we started having fun and players were slapping the shit out of each other in arcades and at home with Mortal Kombat. It seems so quaint now, the ripping out the opponent's heart. And thanks to a bunch of concerned legislators, Mortal Kombat and Night Trap were dragged to the floor of Congress in 1993. And that same year, in front of the same Congress, Sega and Nintendo fought each other like 2 foolish characters in front of the world. And then Doom was released and blamed for Columbine, and every police officer stopped asking, did he listen to Ozzy Osbourne? And instead asked, did he play GTA? We stood together, most of us, because we knew that games were games and the games didn't shoot people. Real guns and real bullets did. We've been called murder simulators, sex simulators, rape simulators, insensitive and horrible. In this very state, and this is true, legislators, not that the rest of it's shit, but this is true. It sounds so ridiculous, I want to make sure I clarify that. In this very state, legislators have tried to class games with drugs as harmful substances in order to prohibit their sale. If you remember these things, like I remember these things, we stood together because we loved games. And I remember when a cut feature was found and hacked, and the term hot coffee no longer referred to a steaming hot beverage, but a steaming pile of shit, as the game industry was once again threatened, re-rated, and subjected to over 100 new pieces of legislation in response. Some game developers made really bad games about sex and explored its frontiers, and I remember Elder Scrolls getting re-rated because they revealed that underneath a woman's bra, I hope I don't kill any of you with this announcement, there are fucking nipples. See them through normal gameplay. More recently, Fox News called Mass Effect a virtual sex simulator. We stood together, you and me, because we love games. And then when the powers that be asked us to work a little bit more, and then when a lot more, that little bit turned to a lot more, and then to 7 days a week, we supported one another. And when when 7 days turned to weeks and months, and sometimes months turned to years, we stood behind a lone, courageous voice, EA Spouse, and forwarded her call to everyone we knew. And when they came for our products, our creativity, and our companies, for our hours, for our families, we did everything we could in public and behind the scenes to fight against the people in suits and for our games. We stood together, you and me, because we love games. And I remember when on the floor of this very conference, we fought against allowing console game developers admission and vigorously debated letting our beloved CGDC become merely the GDC. I remember when I first heard games called addictive. I'd returned from a morning spent volunteering at an alcohol detox center. I wondered what their definition of addictive was. And I remember the horrible month of September 2011 when Flight Simulator 2001, when flight simulators were blamed for the horror that was 9/11. Racism, hate crimes, violence against women, children, and animals, all of these have been our burdens to bear. And we stood together, you and me, because we love games. And then we moved to Facebook. I know the things that are upsetting to you, and I can assure you they are also upsetting to me. I have seen the strip miners and their entry into games. I have seen them exploit technology and new platforms, not for the purpose of crafting beautiful creative works, but rather taking the audience for all they can get. They are not one of us, nor are they from us. Rather, they are from another space, and they do not understand this contract that we've had with our players since 1978, because we are our players. These people do not care about gameplay, they do not care about games, they do not care about players, they do not care about fun. And you know what? I dislike them just as much as you. I have witnessed decisions made not for fun, but for fortune, and I have seen games gutted and players churned and burned. I have seen things I never want to see again. The game developers here on this stage are not like those people. We do not come from their world. Like you, we want good play, we want compelling experiences, we want casual, and we want hardcore. We want to make a great game for the 43-year-old Facebook mom because she deserves a good fucking game too. We are not the ones We are absolutely not the ones making what some of you call evil games. But rather, we are the first fucking wave, the Marines storming the beach to take our medium, our culture, and our potential back. And as you look upon these games and curse them, know that we look on the very same horizon and see a great space of possibility. And I hope that someday all of you will be the occupying force. We stand together, you and me, because we love games. Thank you.